Top Test Prep.
Hi, my name is Krishna and I'm a tutor with Top Test Prep. Today I'd like to talk about the difference between the SSAT test and the ISEE test. Now the SSAT and ISEE are both tests that are used by private high schools and middle schools and independent high schools and middle schools to evaluate incoming applicants. In addition, both of them share some similarities with respect to the content covered. Both of them test students on their mathematical ability, their verbal ability and vocabulary, and also their critical reading skills and writing skills. But they do so in very different ways. One of the first major differences between these two tests is that the ISEE is only administered once a year, whereas the SSAT is administered multiple times a year, and you can take it multiple times repeatedly. An important difference here is that for the ISEE, you're only preparing for one major event, one major taking most of the time, whereas with the SSAT, you can revise and get better with practice much more so. An important difference between this is that obviously preparing for the ISEE is going to be different, but it's also important to realize that that same burden applies to every other student. So it's important to evaluate which is more favorable to you. A second major difference is in the style of tests. Now the SSAT is much more a test that tests students' aptitude or reasoning ability, whereas the ISEE is more of a hybrid between reasoning and achievement abilities. As a result, the SSAT has questions that can be much trickier or more unfamiliar. They're much more prone to ask you to use the knowledge you already know in an unfamiliar way, to apply it in a way that you might know not how to apply it initially. Whereas the ISEE is much more of a test that might resemble questions that you might see in your classroom. A third major difference is that the ISEE is much better for guessing than the SSAT. This is true for two reasons. First, the ISEE has no guessing penalty, whereas the SSAT penalizes students 1/4 point for every question they get wrong. Another major difference is the ISEE only has 4 multiple choice answer choices, whereas the SSAT has 5. So if you're the type of student who is much better at getting the exact answer, then the SSAT might be better, whereas if you're the opposite type of student, the ISEE could be more favorable. So if you want to learn more about which test is the best for you, you can sign up for one of our tutoring programs at 800-501-PREP or visit us at toptestprep.com.